What's up, guys? Seb here. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 2 of my show Talkin Nerdy, where I talk about the latest and greatest gaming and nerd news that came out during the week. So it kind of makes sense that it's episode 2 and we got 2 things to talk about. We're going to be talking about the Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer that was released, and you're going to get sort of my reaction to that trailer as well as some discussions. Am I looking forward to the game, what we see in the trailer, and stuff like that. And the second part of the news is kind of a big one. Nintendo released their new console, not released a new console, but released a trailer for their new console, the Nintendo Switch. We're going to look at that trailer as well as look at some of the features that they have listed on the Nintendo Switch and what it looks like. Am I excited for that? Am I actually going to get the Nintendo Switch? I don't have a Wii U. I do have a Wii, but it's at my parents' house. But so, I haven't had a Nintendo console for a long time. So am I going to get the Switch? Does it look good? So all that's to come. But first, we're going to start with the Red Dead Redemption trailer.
Listen to me. When the time comes, you gotta run and don't look back. This is over.
All right, so that was the Red Dead 2 trailer. Not a lot to go on. They didn't really show too much. The beginning of the trailer, the good portion of the trailer is basically landscapes. So I'm basically left to assume that this is going to be a huge open world. But from the different landscapes, there was a lot of woods, a lot of forests. There was some plains. There was a mountain in almost every landscape. There was mountains in the background and stuff like that. The very end looked the most like a desert, sort of Arizona-like environment. So I'm going to assume that this is going to take place over multiple states. I feel like with the mountains in the background all the time that we're going to be kind of going along the Rocky Mountains. So I feel like maybe we're going to be in Colorado, maybe Montana, maybe Arizona. So instead of being Texas and Mexico like it was in the original Red Dead, I feel like we're going to be focusing more on the United States, and we're going to be kind of spreading ourselves through those states. That's from what it looks like to me. Another thing that I saw was it kind of has to go with the mountains, actually, in my opinion. I personally think it'd be kind of cool if this was also a little bit of gold rush stuff. I don't know if there was a lot of gold in the Rocky Mountains, but I feel like that would be kind of a cool topic to get on, and maybe add some stuff as far as exploration, where you actually go and sift through the water and you find the gold nuggets, and that's also a way you can make cash in the game. That's just an idea that I have. I think that would be kind of cool and interesting, and maybe as a posse, as a group, because there's 7 of you, so I'm assuming you're in a gang. You kind of take over these locations a little bit like maybe you did in Grand Theft Auto 5, where you had Michael could buy the movie theater and he took over the movie theater, and that made him a certain amount of money. And so maybe that's something that they will do, where you go and you kind of capture mines or land or something like that, and that's a way that you can continuously make currency. That's just an idea. Another way that it looks like you're going to make currency, again, in Red Dead 1, is hunting looks like it's going to be kind of a big thing. I don't know how in-depth it's going to be. I don't know if there's going to be a more in-depth crafting system, because there was a very bland vanilla crafting system in Red Dead 1 for just the outfits for John Marston. So maybe they are going to go a little bit more in depth, but Rockstar isn't really like known for making these sort of like crafting concepts. Like that's a big trend in a lot of games, especially RPGs, but Rockstar doesn't really make RPGs. So I'm not getting my hopes up for some really in-depth crafting, but I think that would be kind of cool. So there's that. And then as far as the story, I mean, there's some speculation going on as far as what the story is. So I'm going to kind of talk about those. I know GameSpot is kind of, and a couple other YouTubers have spoken about saying that they think this is a prequel, and that that if you look at the picture that they released of the 7 cowboys like coming out of the sunset, one of them looks like John Marston. People are arguing about which one is John Marston. I personally look at it and I see the one all the way on the left. He's kind of looking off like this. Is John Marston. I think he's the one that looks most like John Marston. Some people are saying he's the guy in the middle, in the front and center. I don't think so. I don't think that looks anything like John Marston, but some people are saying that. Also, some people have also pointed out that some of the people in the gang look like Bill and Dutch, both people you killed in the original in Red Dead Redemption. So this is giving some information that maybe it is a prequel, and you are playing as John Marston when he is part of the gang and doing all the train heists and stuff like that. And so maybe you're going through his story that led up to Red Dead Redemption. Now, another speculation, but one that I think is more interesting than just playing as John Marston, a young John Marston, is that you're playing in the gang, but you're an unknown member. And I think that's interesting as far as a storytelling standpoint, because you get to see John Marston and Dutch and Billy and stuff like that from another perspective. If you're playing as John Marston, you're gonna see what he wants to see, and he's gonna say what he wants to say. But if you're seeing it from another perspective, you're gonna see it in a much broader sense, I feel like. So I feel like it'd be more interesting if it's a different person and you're not playing as John Marston or Billy or Dutch. And also, as far as the ending for the game is, if we're playing as John Marston, we already kind of know how it's going to end a little bit, because in the original Red Dead Redemption, he talks about how he was shot after a heist gone wrong and left for dead, and then that's how he kind of, it created his new life. So I feel like if they use John Marston, I feel like they might actually ruin the story if they're going to go that way. Maybe it's even earlier, maybe it's even before that, and that we don't even see that ending or that part of his story. But still, I personally think that it'd be cooler if it was an outside perspective, not John Marston or Billy or whatever. But if you do play as John Marston, I have a feeling that they're going to do the thing that they did in GTA 5, where you can switch between members. I don't know if they're going to do it all 7. I think that would be kind of intense. You're switching between John Marston and all the other members of the gang, depending on like the story and stuff like that. That could be kind of cool, because then that means certain members of the gang have their own missions, and then you kind of have like the big heists that you do together, kind of like in Grand Theft Auto 5. That could be cool, but I don't know if maybe it might be a little overwhelming if there's 7 of them. Maybe if it is just John Marston and Billy and Dutch, because those are the 3 that we're most familiar with. So maybe we are switching between them, and I feel like they have similar personalities to Franklin, Michael, and Trevor from GTA 5. I feel like, John Marston is more like Franklin, Dutch is more like Michael, and Billy is more like Trevor. I think that's a possibility as far as like the story goes. And then, like I said, you get the individual missions for them, and then they team up to do big heists. Am I excited for Red Dead 2? I am excited for Red Dead 2, but I do have my hesitations, and this is more of a thing that is generally about Rockstar than it is about Red Dead specifically. Rockstar is very good at making a specific type of game. They're very good at making open world, sort of third person action story driven games, which are great, and they don't release them every year, so they don't get like bland. But my only concern is that Red Dead 2 becomes GTA 5 but with a Western skin. And I don't necessarily want that. I want something like, for me, for some reason, Red Dead Redemption was really good because there wasn't really a great Western game before it. I mean, there was Red Dead Revolver, which was okay in my opinion, but this was a truly fantastic Western game. And it was sort of like, and it was different because they hadn't really done it before, but now they've done it once before. And I'm kind of worried that they're not going to make enough changes, or it's not to make it feel new again. That's my biggest concern. Like I said, Rockstar kind of makes the same game over and over again. It's made them lots of money and it's great, but that's my concern, is that we're going to basically just get GTA 5 with a Western skin. And is that going to stop me from buying it? Probably not, because like I said, I love Red Dead Redemption. I played through it 3 times in total, like all the way through from beginning to end, twice on 360 and once Xbox One backwards compatible. So I don't know if it's going to stop me from buying it. We need more information. This is just the first trailer, so we don't know enough. The one thing that they did say, though, was that there's going to be a unique online experience. Now, that also kind of makes me on the fence, because GTA, for a couple of things, and it's also reason why I feel like they're just going to give it a GTA 5 with a Western skin, is because GTA Online was a big success, and it was sort of a uniquer online experience where you are in the GTA world, and you're like growing and like making your own money and doing jobs and heists and all these things. And now there's biker gangs and all these things. And so that's kind of a concern a little bit. I didn't really get into the GTA Online at all. I like played it for like a week, and then I got sick and tired of everyone just running me over all the time, so I stopped playing it. But I know there's a lot of people who have been playing it forever since it came out. So that's just one thing. Another thing is that like there are a lot of games out there like now or coming out soon that constantly say unique multiplayer experience. One that comes to mind is Ubisoft and The Division and Ghost Recon Wildlands. Both of them are practically the same game, just different settings. And my fear is that that's what Red Dead is. Red Dead 2 is going to be. GTA 5 and Red Dead are going to be the same game, but in different settings. And I don't know if that. I already own GTA 5, and I already own Red Dead 1 on Xbox One because of backwards compatibility. If it's the same game as GTA 5 but a different setting, what is the reason for me to buy it? And that's just my main concern. I just need more information. I think we all need more information. We're all very excited. I just don't want it to be hyped up too much and people get pissed off because they pre-order it, because you can pre-order it now because it's coming out fall next year, and then they get it and they're just like, oh, this is shit. That's my concern. Like I want to become informed. I want to be an informed consumer. A lot of people are like freaking out, and I think that people need to like dial it back a little bit and kind of look at it. This is a first trailer. Not a lot of information is out. You need to wait and see what it says. But that's my thoughts on the Red Dead trailer, Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer, and on the game. When more news comes out, I'll definitely be adding it to my Talking Nerdy segment. I think it's a big game. A lot of people are obviously excited about it, as I said. Some people might be hyping it up a little too much, but we'll see. So be sure to keep an eye out for more Red Dead 2 stuff coming out on this channel in the coming weeks and months and maybe years. We'll see. But next, Nintendo announced their new console, the Nintendo Switch. So we're going to be taking a look at that trailer and then talking about it and seeing if I'm excited and if I'm going to get a new Nintendo console that I haven't had in many years. You know, is Nintendo going to get back on top of the game? I hope so. I like Nintendo's games. So I love Nintendo's games. So hopefully we'll see that. But here's the Nintendo Switch trailer. Enjoy.
Switch!
All right, so that is the first look at the Nintendo Switch. What do I think about it? I think it's actually pretty cool. It's a console handheld hybrid that, you know, the NX gonna give it to you. NX was supposed to, you know, was theorized to be, and it is actually here. It is. I'm kind of speechless with it. I personally think it's really cool. Nintendo has been doing a great job, or at least has done a great job in like trying to do new things with game consoles, specifically hardware. I mean, they did a great job with the Wii. It became one of the like best-selling game consoles in history, and like it brought together generations of people, people who were gamers, people who were not gamers. They all came together and played the Wii. Mostly Wii Sports, from what I can tell, but whatever. At least it worked. The Wii U, they tried to advance on it, but it failed. It didn't do very well. Now we got the Switch. Now the Switch, I would probably buy the Switch if I have to. If I'm honest, like I'm a little hype about this. It looks cool. I personally think it's sleek. It's small. Like I mean, it looks like it's just a dock port, a handheld, pretty much, and then it basically just like puts whatever's on the handheld onto your screen, pretty much. So what it looks like. Which I personally think is really cool. So basically the console is the handheld. Basically. So how powerful would is this little handheld thing? I don't know. Like they need to come out with some specifics about like what it's made of. But a lot of people are saying it's actually quite powerful for the size. I think it's cool. It looks like it's gonna have you know, they were trying I think this perfected what PlayStation was trying to do with the PlayStation Go or PlayStation Play or whatever it was called, where like you can play your PlayStation 3 games on your Vita like remotely and stuff like that. I think this kind of perfects that, in my opinion, because instead of like it looks like the handheld is the main console, so all the stuff is going to be on the handheld anyways. It's just kind of superimposed on your screen. It also comes with various controller kind of setups. They have, you know, they have like an actual tablet looking controller, like that. It doesn't have like those would be on the handheld, like they showed in the trailer. You slip them on the sides and it becomes the handheld, and you can play it like that. But they also have sort of where it's blank in the middle, and you can have sort of a controller with the little side. I'm guessing they're called Switch controllers. That's what I'm going to assume they're called. With the Switch controllers. And that's kind of cool. You also have a regular controller, something that looks very similar to an Xbox controller or a where is it over here? Or a Steam controller, something like that, which I personally might get into more because I'm used to it. But I don't know. You know, I have to play with the Switch controllers to see how that goes. I like this portable idea. I think it's cool. I'm curious about battery life. The guy. And throughout the commercial when they were traveling, the guy seemed to be playing it for like a flight and like in the airport and all this stuff. So I'm curious what battery life is like. That is going to be sort of the big thing in my opinion, as far as like, you know, I take my 3DS with me when I travel. So, you know, but I have my game consoles at home. I don't really play my 3DS when I'm at home. That's purely when I'm going somewhere. So how is the battery going to work? That kind of situation. I'm kind of curious about that. They showed a couple games. They showed some Nintendo classics. They showed the Zelda Breath of the Wild or Wind of the Wild. I think it was that one, which I'm excited to get. I mean, I'll get the Switch just for that game. It's like Zelda but Skyrim at the same time. Speaking of Skyrim, they showed Skyrim, so that means that there's going to not only be Nintendo games, but there's going to be sort of third-party games as well. They showed 2K17. They showed Skyrim. So that's great news for Nintendo that they're also kind of getting these sort of AAA games, that third-party AAA games that they didn't really have for the Wii U. So that's awesome. They also showed a new Mario game. They showed Mario Kart. They showed Splatoon. So I'm guessing that there's going to be maybe some backwards compatibility, maybe with Wii U games. So maybe if you don't have, so for me, that would give me an incentive. You know, because then I can buy the Switch, but I could also buy, the Smash Brothers, or I could buy the Pokemon Brawl game and all this stuff, and not have to have a Wii U. I can have the Switch, and it just works with the Switch. I personally would like that, because then I think that would breathe new life into games that weren't played very often, or I would buy Mario Maker and all that stuff. This would breathe new life into games that were exclusively for the Wii U, and now we can play them on the Switch. I would definitely end up buying those games, which is not good for my wallet, but whatever. And yeah, I think I'm excited for it. Also, the Nintendo Switch seems to be having some interesting kind of concepts with multiplayer. It seems that you are capable, the two Switch controllers, as I said, I'm going to call them the two Switch controllers, you can turn them sideways and they become player 1 or player 2, which is an interesting configuration. I think that's kind of cool that you can now play like co-op stuff. Like it's real games these days don't really do co-op, like one single screen co-op, one console co-op stuff. So I'm actually kind of happy with that. That means that, like, if I can ever talk my girlfriend into playing like some Mario Kart or some shit, then she has her little controller for her little hands, and I have my little controller for my little hands, and we can play and have a good time. I think that's kind of cool. And another thing is that they showed for the basketball players, the basketball bros, who they were there after they played their game, they sat down and they put two Nintendo Switch handhelds next to each other, near each other, and they were able to play 2K17 like together, like, so two per team, and it didn't look like there was any cords connecting the two. It looked like it was maybe like a Bluetooth kind of situation where you just have to be near another Nintendo Switch to play with them. Like, and I'm curious to see, how does that go with the like online capabilities of the game, of the console, with multiplayer, like online, in the sense that, like, how Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network and all that stuff, how that works. Like, is that going to be there? Are there going to be, like, could you play Mario Kart online with no computer, where like everyone is a separate racer, or is it just more like you need to be near another Nintendo Switch console in order to sort of play that way? That's an interesting thing to ask too. I mean, I tend to play more multiplayer games on my PC or on my Xbox than anything else, and really I don't play that much multiplayer on my console, so it's not really a big selling point for me. I think it's more, for me, the bigger selling point of the multiplayer is this co-op aspect, where you can just give them half of a controller and you can play games. Like, I think that's cooler than you have to be Bluetoothing with each other. But it looks like there's going to be some multiplayer compatibility with it, and I'm just curious on how in depth it is, and if Nintendo's trying to do something new with the multiplayer, or if they're also going to include more traditional stuff like Xbox Live or the PlayStation Network and stuff like that. That's kind of just another question that I have that I'm sure they will answer in the coming months. I'm curious a little bit more about the specs, the tech specs behind it, like what kind of processor it uses, and how the battery is going to work. And if it is that smooth of a transition, you just basically click on the controllers, you pick it up, and it's automatically like on your handheld. It's automatically like it's exactly where you left it. It's not like it's back at it's not like it's a start menu or something weird. It's just like you pick it up, and you're back to playing within like 15 seconds. If it is that quick, if it is that smooth and seamless of a transition, then I think that's great. That's awesome. That's good for Nintendo. Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like, and they have a release day, a release month at least, March 2017. I think that's really soon. I'm kind of curious how it's going to do as far as sales, because it's not really a holiday season. I'm sure they really probably wanted it for Christmas. I don't like how much is it going to hurt it for if it released March 2017 versus November 2017. I don't know if it's going to be that much of a hurt for them as far as sales is concerned. But depending on how much it costs, because they didn't talk about price, I might either buy it straight away or I'll wait till Christmas, depending. But I mean, it doesn't look like it's a huge console. But so I'm going to be assuming that it's going to be maybe like $250, maybe. That could be like the price range between $200 and $250. If it is more than that, then I might wait till Christmas. But we'll see. We don't know that yet. We don't know how much it's going to cost. And we don't know that much about like what games. Like, I mean, I'm assuming that the Zelda game, probably a Mario game, probably a Mario Kart game, and then any third-party games are going to be sort of release titles. But I'm curious specifically what release titles they're going to give to the Switch. But with all that said, I have to say it looks like Nintendo might be having a spot in my household, in my apartment. I'm kind of excited. I love Nintendo games. The original Nintendo was my first gaming console. I've played Nintendo. I have a Retron 5, so that way I can play all my old Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. I tend to buy a lot of like old like Game Boy games and stuff like that for the 3DS, and I play those. So I'm kind of excited to see what Nintendo brings. I would love to see a Pokemon game that's made for the console, not like a fight game, but like a legit Pokemon game. I haven't really played Pokemon since Yellow, so I'm kind of out of it. But I would like a more advanced Pokemon game, maybe better. Like, it's not the same style, but I don't know, more advanced kind of Pokemon game, more action oriented. I don't know. This is my thought. I'm kind of a little like shocked by how excited I am for the Switch. I personally, I've kind of like brushed Nintendo off more for for hardware, and I only love them really for their games. But now this kind of has inspired me again, similar to what the Wii did. I don't think it's going to have that same effect. I don't think it's going to be melding generations together. I don't think my parents who have a Wii and had like a Wii Fit and played like Wii Sports and stuff like that, I don't think they're going to get a Switch. I don't think they're going to play a Switch. So I don't think it's going to be the same effect, but I personally am excited because I get to play like a really good Zelda game on an airplane with like a controller, like a real controller, and like all this stuff. It's not motion. It's not like a tablet, kind of like, which is the controller. Like, that's an option. Like, it's not, I don't know. I feel like if this was the Wii U, the Wii U would have sold 100 million times better than it did now. They've taken an aspect of the Wii U and an aspect of like modern consoles and put them together. So like that's the whole console portable hybrid thing that they're doing, and I think that's a really smart idea. And I'm really excited about it because then, like I said, I can go on Amtrak, travel home, play my Zelda game for 2 hours, have it there. Time's gonna fly by. I'm not gonna sit there like bored looking at the same scenery for like that I've looked at for the past like 5 years. So yeah, I'm excited. What are you guys excited for the Nintendo Switch? Did it pique your interest? What games do you hope that they bring back for the Switch? I'm assuming that there might be a Metroid game. I've been hearing rumors of a Metroid game for the Switch. What games do you want? Do you want it to be backwards compatible so that way if you bought all these if you have a Wii U and you bought all these Wii U games, you can just play them on the the Switch? Do you not care? Do you think that this is a good step forward for Nintendo as far as in the hardware space? I personally was of the mind that they should stop focusing on hardware, focus on software, and just sell that to Microsoft and Sony and make a shit ton of money. Because I know I'm one of the, if Xbox or PlayStation was just like, oh, we have exclusive rights to Mario or to Pokemon or to Zelda or whatever, I would shovel money down their throats because it's going to be like a graphically superior Zelda. It's going to be an amazing story. It's going to be all this stuff. And so I always thought that would have been a good step for Nintendo, was to focus more on software, making video games. That's something that they've been very good at doing. So that was my thought. But I have to say, I'm happy for the Switch. I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks good. Now I just need to know how it will like sort of work in the wild, like the battery life, the screen, sort of the technology behind it. Is it sturdy? Is it going to be like your iPhone 7 or 6 that like you can bend and like it's going to snap in half? How fragile is it? That kind of stuff. I'm curious how it survives the real world. But as far as the trailer and the announcement and the fact that it's coming in like 6 months, I'm pretty hyped about it. I'm pretty excited. But yeah, so do you think you're gonna get one? Are you gonna get one in March? Or are you gonna wait until the holidays, when Christmas time kind of situation, to get a Switch? How excited are you guys? Are you looking forward to any specific games? Anything like that? Please leave all that stuff in the comment section below. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me for episode 2 of my Talking Nerdy series. Expect these once a week, every Saturday, where I'm going to be looking back on the news of the week, specifically in games and in like tech and nerd and stuff like that, and sort of bring out discussions. I also, if there's no real news, then I have a back catalog of stuff that I want to talk about. So just keep that in mind. But I'm going to try and keep it current, and kind of give my point of view and discussions on these new things, on these great things that are coming out, or not so great things, depending on what it is. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm Seb the Enthusiast. As always, stay enthusiastic, my friends. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.